Salut, c'est Mathieu de Ludovox et aujourd'hui nous sommes dimanche au Festival des Jeux de Cannes 2016 et je suis en compagnie d'un invité prestigieux, Eric Lang. Hi Eric.
Bonjour.
We are very happy to have you today because you are a famous and busy designer. So how has your festival been going? Is it great here in Cannes?
I love it. I love the convention. I love the south of France, the ocean, les baguettes, du vin. I love the food. It's great.
Well, despite the bad weather, you like it and you like the French Riviera very well.
Very much, yes.
So this festival has seen you a lot because we've talked about you. I don't know why. Maybe it's because you are a famous designer. For example, for Blood Rage,
The panda shirts, right?
the pandas do everything. So have you seen any games that you might want to play? French games?
Yes, many of them. Very few are surprises, though, because I keep up in the news with publishers. So I already knew about the games, so I just came here so I could hopefully play. But I have no time.
As for all of us, time is a scarce resource. It's like we should have more time cubes or something.
It's true, or you can use the time track from Thebes.
So here we have a prototype of one of your latest designs that you're going to explain to us in 2 minutes. We will count.
Go. So this is Dolores by Louis Mem. It is a co-design with Bruno Faiduti. All players play pirates that have just destroyed a ship and gotten the treasure. Now we have to argue about who gets the treasure. You score treasure. They have a value of 1 through 3. And there's 7 different types. Your score at the end is all the treasures that you have the most of and all the treasures you have the least of. And everything else does not count. Every turn, a new crate comes in, you open it, and 2 treasures come in front of you, 2 treasures come in front of me, and we have to decide how we split. So we go 1, 2, 3, boum, and
Is it a rock, paper, scissors?
similar. So there are 3 choices. You either go peace, that means I take the les deux devant moi, and you can say war, I want all of them, or you can say first, I want one, but I pick first. If one player says I want one and the other one says war or peace, he goes first and he takes one, the other one gets their choice. If one player picks war, the other one picks peace, war takes everything, peace gets nothing. If both players pick war, too bad, all of them go back to the ocean. And if both of them pick first, all of them go back to the ocean. After that, now the scoring is tricky, so you don't always want all of them. So you have to negotiate what you want, but you still have to go 1, 2, 3, go. So there's a lot of betrayal, a lot of... it is based a little bit off of the prisoner's dilemma, the classic game theory problem. That was the original idea, but with pirates, because that's cool.
Yes, our crewman agrees with that. He loves pirates. So, do you have a release date?
Hopefully this year. Gen Con or Essen, that is the hope.
Okay, sure. So we are eagerly waiting to play it. So you designed Blood Rage and many other games, but Blood Rage was a bit specific because it was published on Kickstarter with Call Me or Not. And in my opinion, you're going to tell us if it's the case, designing a game for Kickstarter is very different from designing another game. Can you tell us more about that?
It is very different. If I know a game is going to Kickstarter, I will design something. I will design several levels of games. Something that I call the alpha game, the beta game, the gamma game, all the way down to omega, etc. The alpha game is the complete thing that I see, but complete but not necessary. So it would be the game that has the core that is essential, plus a number of different modules that add spice to the game in different combinations depending on which target audience we have. But I design it all at once, so I make sure that everything fits together. The core of that is what I call the Omega game. That is the earliest version of the game. That is the essential game. It works without anything else, and it is complete and enjoyable without anything else. But then every extra module could be added as a stretch goal and interchangeably as the publisher likes, and it doesn't hurt the game at all. But I do make sure to plan all of that at the beginning, and I make sure that it doesn't matter how many we unlock. Every one of them is play tested and enjoyable, and work in any combination. That's very important to me.
There is something else with Kickstarter type games, I think, in the design approach, because you have to design kind of open game systems that allow, well, extra design space. Do you agree with that?
Yes, but of course, I mean, that's my specialty. I've been working on living card games, collectible card games forever, so that's nothing new to me.
Do you still have time for collectible card games? Have you worked a little bit on the new Game of Thrones series, or is it just Nate French?
The second edition is designed by Nate French, but it is based, of course, it was based on the original, and we did have a talk about it, like when they started designing it. So I was aware of the roadmap of it, but at this point, they know what they're doing. I actually do design. I mean, I design a digital trading card game called Duelist. That is what I do during the day, and I may or may not have a big announcement in about 1 month for another big game, which may or may not be a trading card game.
Interesting. Well, you have another piece of news incoming with Space Cowboys and famous French designer Antoine Bozin, who is our French celebrity, kind of.
He is a rock star. That's why I like hanging around with him. If I walk with Antoine, nobody comes to me and they go to him. It's great.
So the code name for it was Victorian Masterminds or London Masterminds, but is a Finnish title decided yet?
So far, it's still Victorian Masterminds. With Antoine, the titles are very, very specific. The story is his, so we had a story very much planned out. They went with Victorian Masterminds because London Masterminds is very English only. But that may probably be the final title.
Okay. Is the design finished? Where are you? Are you playtesting and editing and doing the publisher stuff?
It is about 90%. So we've been playtesting it for a year or so, and we've finished iterating, but now we're still tuning very carefully and doing the last little pieces of balance with the publisher. Space Cowboys is an excellent publisher because they play their games many, many times. They have lots of feedback, and we even still play with our own playtest groups. So it's a medium weight game with lots of little exceptions, so we still have to do a little bit of tuning.
Exceptions are very hard to combine a game because you have those cases where exceptions interact with each other weirdly, and you have to do FAQs or something like that.
Yes, and I'm also very used to that as well. The many exceptions, that's my home turf, and a big story is Antoine's home turf. That's why this game is a great story with different asymmetrical players, with each with their own different powers. So it really is a meeting of our two minds.
So we could say it is a mixture of chaos in the old world and maybe Takenoko.
No. No, it is actually very fresh. It is a game that we both talked about at Gen Con, I think 2 years ago, and we wanted something that was very, very fresh. The approach might have some ancestry in older games of ours, but I actually think it is something that only could come from the two of us together.
Okay, we are going to see that alchemy in a few months. I am impatient and eager. And I would like to know, because you've been designing games for like years and you've designed a lot. It seems to be your day job and night job, and where is that extra time anyway? But has your design philosophy changed over the years?
Oh yeah, very much so. I used to be. I think I've gone through every part of the spectrum. I started off as the ideas are everything guy, and because I used to design role-playing games and very light 80s style games where you had to make house rules all the time. Then I went to, when I was designing collectible card games, I was the mechanics guy. I studied all the mechanics, and I became very fluent in how mechanics interact. So I thought mechanics are everything, and then I went back to story is everything, and now I just don't care. Now I'm very fluid, and the only thing I care about is what's fun. I don't care about categories. I don't care about style or influences or anything. Wherever it comes from is good for me, as long as it has personality, style, and a voice.
So it's more about the game itself. You move away from mechanics, away from the story, away from the simplicity, because as you said yesterday, fun is fun, right?
Fun is fun. I mean, it's all still there. It's just in the back of my head. So now I don't think about anything consciously now. It just things ideas just pop into my head, and it's all based off of experience. So I have the luxury now of being able to say, I just go by instinct, make something, and then later on reverse engineer it and go, this is why it made it work. I was like, I was smart 10 minutes ago. I shouldn't change it.
And you can still, I think, design. You have your idea, and then you design around it. You tune it. You alter it so that it becomes smarter, maybe.
All the time. Game design is 0.1% idea and 95.5% iteration and play testing.
So, how do you interact with your playtest group? Do you tell them, okay, I want to know if this point works, this specific mechanic, or do you just collect feedback after a play session?
I never ask any questions. So very often what I do is my playtesters know this. I just put games out, and sometimes I let them choose what do you want to play. That's how I know what games people want to play and are special. And I always have to be there. I sit there. I try not to play myself, and I just watch. I watch and I take notes, and 90% of my notes are right there. Afterwards, I will ask them questions, of course. Or I don't ask them questions. I usually say, talk to me about anything you want. And then, because that I understand what's important to them will come to the surface and they'll speak to me. But most of my notes are from watching them play. And I can tell who's having fun, where they're having difficulty. And then afterward, from their notes, I will see what the differences are. Because your brain works very funny that way.
Um, can we talk about your upcoming project, except for Dolores, which is illustrated by Vincent Dutré, who we know in France because he's French. So what about the other projects that you can talk about?
Well, there's Victorian Masterminds, of course, which may come out this year, maybe early next year from Space Cowboys. Very excited. I have another co-design with Bruno Faiduti with Repos. It is a game that Bruno and I called Which Side Are You On? It is a sort of gamer party game-ish. Now it's called Social Deduction. Now it has a genre, but when we designed the game, there was no such name. 4 to 8 player game, I love this kind of game. Very sneaky, but very simple. You can explain in 5 minutes. That may come out probably late this year or early next year. I have a solo game with FunForge coming out. It is the cutest game I've ever made. It is for families. It's for families. It's really fun. It's got nice little toys in it. I want people who play it to go like, "Oh, that was right." It's competitive though, but not. But it's focused on journey more than destination. Of course, I have more games coming from Cool Mini or Not. I'm sure it's not news, but there will be another big Kickstarter coming out this year in a big box with Cool Minis and stuff. I actually have 2 games coming from Cool Mini or Not that are not Kickstarters. They will be standalone games. One is a very simple card game, which I'm very excited about, based on a license. They will announce soon. One is another big box game based on a license. They'll announce at the same time. But it is standalone, single box, no expansions, no nothing. I'm very excited because it's a license that it's very dear to me. Oh, sorry, I have more. I have a big announcement from a publisher that I cannot say. But in 1 month, we'll announce in Vegas a big project, a co-design with one of my best friends, Kevin Wilson. That will be, nobody will guess what this is. And I just found out, by the way, here at the show, that a game that I worked on with Kevin 3 years ago with a publisher that we thought was not going to come out was sold to IDW and will be coming out this year. So very excited. It's a cute little game.
So you have a really big year coming out. Like, how many games? Like 6, 7, 8?
No, I lost track.
And maybe you told us about maybe a big announcement to make about a collectible card game or a living card game.
That might be the same announcement I just told you about.
Okay. Well, that's a lot, and I would like to thank you because this interview was really interesting, but you have to dash, unfortunately, because you have many appointments. So thank you again, Eric, and would you like to say a last word for the French viewers?
Oh oui, oui, je peux parler un petit peu français. J'essaie par les sons essentiels. Par exemple, le souris est en dessous de la table, le chat est sur la chaise et le singe est sur la branche.
Thank you, Eric. À bientôt sur Ludovox. Salut.